All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Lucy, are you sneezing? Hope everyone's doing well. We have a question to start out the day. In lieu of today, happy spring. It is springtime. What's up, Joseph? Good to see you, buddy. What's up, Karen? You're second, almost first. Still awesome. Happy spring. It is officially the first day of spring. That's pretty cool. Hello, Susan. Hello, DLJ. Hello, lady. How are you? Happy spring. Hello, Frederick. What's up, Phil? What's up, Amars? What's up, Lance? I am doing wonderful. Nick, what's going on? Dan, thank you for doing that. Dan says, I let the ads play all the way through. Thank you for doing that. I know that when that doesn't happen, we content creators do not get paid. So thank you for doing that. What's up, Nolan? Howdy, howdy, Alex. What's up, Amos? Mama, Alaska. Hello. Stay warm in Alaska. I'd imagine it's cold up there. Maybe it's warm this time of year. I don't know. But I've never been. I got to get there. I knocked off 2 states the last tour we did with the Progressive Comedy Tour. I only have 8 states left that I haven't performed in. Because I knocked off Louisiana and Mississippi. And I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know the next time I'll get up to Mississippi. So that might have been it for me as far as Mississippi goes. And Germany, I got to perform in Germany. Lady, I've been to Germany, but I've not performed there. You guys are at 70 degrees? Wow, it is 70 degrees in Alaska today. How's that for news? 70 degrees. What do I think of Disney closing the deal to buy Fox? I'm not thrilled about it. I'm never really thrilled about any media consolidation. And, so far Disney has already bought, since they've owned Marvel, Disney kind of stripped away all the Marvel series from Netflix, which, really bummed me out as a viewer. So I'm not, I'm not thrilled about that. And like when you think about media consolidation with the AT&T Time Warner merger, now AT&T owns CNN, Comcast owns MSNBC. So you have all these internet service providers that own media news outlets, and you have now Disney having their own streaming video service, and we've lost net neutrality. So when you add all those things together, you get a pretty not so nice landscape. Let me get to a few quick things, then we got to start because we're over 30. Happy birthday to Moose Gal. Happy birthday. Happy 40th birthday. I hope you had an amazing one. And guys, we are over 30. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. That's where you guys send me topics. We talk about them. That's how we build the freaking show. We got a lot to talk about today, but we're going to do a topic first. Guys, it is the first day of spring. Happy spring. I hope your spring is amazing. But it is also the International Day of Happiness. So my question today, it's a very easy one. He said sarcastically, what's happiness? What the fuck is it? Are you happy? Am I happy? Is anyone happy? What is it? Obviously, none of us have the answer to that. I think some of us can come close. I think that, I don't think anyone truly knows what happiness is. Because you can never escape your own psyche. I think that true happiness is love, which is something else I don't think anyone truly understands, myself included. But I would say happiness is love. And those are both concepts that we don't fully understand. But we know they're out there, or at least we speculate they're out there. I believe they're out there. Love, we've talked about this before. The only thing I believe in is love. That's the only thing I really do believe in. I think that it is real, first and foremost. So I guess in a way I don't necessarily believe in it because I think it's there. But I think it's the only thing that really transcends our human condition. The fact that despite all of our flaws, we're able to love each other, that's pretty incredible to me. So let me see what you guys are saying. Not living in fear. That's a good answer. Martin Lee, are you happy, Ron? I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think so. I have moments where I doubt that. I have moments where I'm like, no, I don't think I'm a very happy person. But I think overall, yeah, I'm a pretty happy dude. I mean, I think that, you know, on a personal note, I'm in a better place than I ever have been in my life. Professionally, you know, I'm kind of on the path I want to be on, if that makes sense. So I feel like, yeah, I mean, you know, Harvey P. Carr, I'm going to paraphrase a famous Harvey P. Carr quote, life is about love, gigs, and being creative. I feel like that's very true, and I feel like I'm doing that. Howdy, Chris. I'm watching my sister's dog this week who's named Lucy. That's awesome. Take good care of Lucy. Are you guys happy? Who here is happy? Happiness is joy in one's life. Well, what does that mean exactly? Joseph believes in Lucy. Well, we all believe in Lucy. Where is she, by the way? Oh, she's asleep on my laptop bag. Garden Gnome says, Ron's only happy when he's listening to Cory Booker speeches. I suppose that's true because everybody's happy when they're in the middle of an orgasm, Garden Gnome. I mean, right? Like so of course that's the case. What's up, Tim? Daniel, Paul Ryan joined the Fox News. Oh, we got to look into that. That's not on the docket today, but we got to look into that. Sir Bikes a Lot, thank you for the Super Chat contribution. Speaking of things that make me happy. Brian, thank you for sharing this. I struggle with Asperger's and depression, says Brian, but I'm happy enough to stick around most days. That's good, Brian. And, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, and I don't mean to, I'm not trying to sound like doom and gloom when I say this, because I really don't mean this in a discouraging way whatsoever. I mean, all we can do is just wake up every morning and decide to try. You know, I mean, that's all we can do. Joseph, I have a physics final in 5 hours. Not happy about that. But you're going to be happy when it's freaking over. And good luck on that final. I didn't take physics in college because I was not smart enough to take that in college. I was not good at the sciences in college. I really struggled. All right. I was more of a humanities guy. Still am. Let's go to some topics here. So, first of all, we're going to start here. So, earlier this week, we were talking about Beto O'Rourke and the smelliness of those fundraising numbers that he beat out Bernie. Now, there was a lot of smelliness there. However, some people on Twitter started spreading misinformation that we did not have any proof of, still don't. And the press took that and ran with it. So, you know, to kind of summarize what we're going to dive into here, there's reasons to be skeptical and critical of Beto O'Rourke's fundraising. However, there's some things that have been shared on Twitter that were unfounded. Now, let's get into this. Beto O'Rourke campaign, Bernie Sanders supporters, this is an article from The Independent, Bernie Sanders supporters fuel misinformation about Texas Democrats' record-breaking fundraising haul. Okay, what are they referring to here? What they're referring to is this, a tweet by Xavier Perez. Well, this is awkward. Beto O'Rourke gave the remaining $4.5 million from his Senate race to Texas Democrats a few months ago. Party sent the money back to him on the day of his announcement. And this would have been violating federal campaign laws by contributing more than $5,000 to his campaign. And as this article points out, and this is correct, the Federal Election Commission only has disclosure information prior to February, meaning there's no way to know how much. So, And I'm sure a lot of you saw this on Twitter. I saw this on Twitter. I saw people retweeting those FEC filings that did not contain the information they said it contained. People were saying, this says it. It's the party gave it to Beto. Or Beto, excuse me. The party gave it back to Beto. Then you would click the link they were sharing, claiming that the Texas Democratic Party gave said money to Beto, and everything was from October. And it was when Beto gave the money back to them. So people on Twitter, by the way, other Bernie supporters and progressives were saying, hey, this doesn't say what you're claiming it says. Be careful. This doesn't claim. We don't need to over-speculate. There's other reasons to be fishy or to be skeptical and that this guy is fishy. There's other valid reasons. Let's not over-speculate and claim things we don't actually know. And I published a tweet myself where I was just like, look, we don't know anything for sure, meaning like we don't know that these aren't all small donors because he's not telling us. But there are reasons for suspicion. And I was accused of spreading a conspiracy theory. They said, oh, that's a conspiracy. No, it's not a conspiracy. Saying there's reason for fishiness or reason for speculation, that's not a conspiracy theory because here's what I and a lot of other progressives were referring to. Boom. Former Obama bundler reaching out to top Democratic Party donors for Beto O'Rourke. Obama bundler Louis Sussman is actively working the donor circuit to increase support for Beto O'Rourke's 2020 campaign for president. The former Obama backer has put together a string of senior Democratic Party donors. So that's why this smells. This smells because it sounds like these aren't all just a bunch of small-time donors a la Bernie, and the numbers have revealed that so far. He has had less small donors than Bernie Sanders has had. Oh, and here's something else in this article that's really worth noting. Beto O'Rourke himself had been actively speaking with donors, including some in New York. Who are some of the people he's speaking with? Right here, Robert Wolf, a longtime party donor and veteran on Wall Street. So Beto O'Rourke is talking to Wall Street and Obama bundlers and big party donors. Bernie Sanders is talking to the people. So that's why when we say there's a lot of fishiness around Beto O'Rourke's number, implying that he has more grassroots support than Bernie Sanders does, that's true. That's not a conspiracy. CNBC laid it out. It's a fact. Louis Sussman is working for Beto O'Rourke. They're seeking out big party donors. O'Rourke himself is seeking out Wall Street. That's all true. Those are all facts. What speculation? What do we not know? This. This is what we don't know. This right here. So, and unfortunately, I mean, that's what the press is talking more about now. The corporate press is talking more about, I mean, look at the headline of this article. Headline of this article. Bernie Sanders supporters fuel misinformation about Texas Democrats' record-breaking fundraising haul. Now, a lot of the stuff people were talking about wasn't misinformation. It was the stuff, hey, he's seeking big party donors, he's seeking Wall Street. This isn't a grassroots campaign. Because it's not. Because his voting record goes along with Republicans about 70% of the time. He's not a progressive, not even close. And that's why he doesn't want to disclose a lot about his fundraising. That's why he's kind of dragging his feet on it. So that's all true. What do we not have evidence of and still don't? Because it might not be there. I'm not going to speak in the definitive because nobody knows, but there's no evidence hinting that, oh, the party just funneled money to him. There's no evidence of that. As of right now, as of the recording of this, there's no evidence of that. is there plenty of evidence that there's reason to believe that this is mostly a big donor-oriented effort? Yeah, there's plenty. He's got Obama's bundler. He's going to Wall Street himself. That's all true. That's all out there. So yeah, to come to the conclusion that this is big donors, deep pockets, people that just wanted to see him beat Ted Cruz. That's all very fair speculation. Accurate, fair speculation. But the media talks about some of the misinformation was shared. And I've seen people, every thread I saw on Twitter, now I'm just one person, every thread I saw on Twitter where somebody shared that FEC filing link, somebody else underneath it, a fellow progressive, would say, hey, be careful, that's not legit. That doesn't prove what you're saying it proves. And all you have to do is click the link and see that everything was from October 2017. And it was Beto giving the, hey, here's proof. No, that's not what it proves. And if that did happen, it would have been against the law. Now, is it beneath the Democratic Party to try to find a way around that campaign law? No, it's not beneath them. I don't think that's unfair to say. But, again, why over-speculate when there's still plenty of stuff that we know for sure that's fishy? Because the reality of the situation, which we all know, is that the press is going to try to stifle progressives every opportunity they get. That's just how it works. Progressives are the group that goes hardest against the status quo. And if you're going against the status quo, you get marginalized in the corporate press because they're benefiting from the status quo. That's just how that goes. So there's plenty of valid stuff to be critical of as far as Beto's fundraising goes. Let's not focus on the stuff that we have no way of proving. And that doesn't indicate what people on Twitter claimed it indicated. You know, you click a link, you're like, this doesn't indicate what you're claiming it does. Be careful. So, you know, that headline from The Independent wasn't necessarily a straight-up lie. It wasn't necessarily a fair or thorough representation either. And, I guess we got to proceed with caution. But that should clarify some of that stuff. Speaking of stuff that often isn't thorough or fair, let's go to a poll CNN's talking about. Poll shows Bernie Sanders' popularity among all voters is plummeting. Does it? Well, let's look into it. One of the arguments Bernie Sanders made, okay, he's more electable than Hillary Clinton. All right, so here's what this article is claiming. Sanders' popularity among all voters seems to be declining considerably in the last few months, however. Our new CNN poll puts Sanders' favorability rating at 46% compared to an unfavorability of 45% among registered voters. This is only the latest poll to have Sanders at basically even. Compare that to where Sanders was at the end of his 2016 presidential bid. Sanders had a 59% favorability rating to 36%. Sanders was able to hold on to much of his popularity through last year. So what's changed? I'd argue that Sanders was benefiting from not being in a competitive campaign. That's a fair observation. When you're not being thought of as a viable threat to win the party's nomination, opponents tend to lay off. The last time Sanders was thought of at least a minor threat to win the Democratic nomination was March 2016. So according to this article, the good news for Sanders is that his net favorability rating is at about the same level as other people who have declared their candidacy for the Democratic nomination. So, by this article's own admission, they're saying, hey, when Bernie was just kind of like doing his job, being Bernie, his favorability was higher. Now that there's officially a race, so there's more opposition and they're being vocal, which is true. I mean, as soon as Bernie announced, the smear pieces came in. So that is an accurate observation. Does that justify the headline, oh, his popularity's plummeting among voters? No, the opposition's just louder. And there's more of it. That's something that happens during an election season. So right away, via the own verbiage in this article, they fish for a headline to draw conclusions from a poll that I would argue weren't really there. It's an election season. Poll numbers are going to reflect that. There's more people in the race. Opposition is louder towards every candidate. So, right away it was fishing. And all right, so here's something else I wanted to point out. Jordan Sheridan points this out. CNN puts out a poll to push the narrative that Bernie Sanders' popularity is shrinking across the board. Only problem, just 32% polled were Democrats or Dem-leaning independents. Sanders polled at 74% favorability among Dems and Dem-leaning independents. And there was also some shakiness on millennials that were polled in this as well. So again, you have another skewed poll. And you have a headline that arrives at a conclusion that the poll doesn't really support. And even the own verbiage in the article is acknowledging, hey, his favorability was higher when it wasn't an election season because the opposition wasn't so loud. You mean like something that happens to pretty much every candidate? That's how politics works. I mean, look at Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton had that to the nth most degree. Her poll numbers would start highest before she spoke. She was incapable of raising her poll numbers. And they would decline like a roller coaster, not just like, oh, it was significantly high when he was just a senator. Now that it's an election season and the opposition's louder and there's other people in the race and it's officially a 2020 race, it's not as high as it was. And this article even admits that he still has the best chance out of any nominee. And what's the specific verbiage that it used, just so I'm totally transparent? Yeah, so look at this. The good news for Sanders is that his net favorability rating is about the same level as other people who have declared their candidacy for the Democratic nomination. Sanders, though, a paragraph down, Sanders, though, may have to convince Democratic voters that he... and there's a typo. Look at that. Typo, CNN. That he electable. There should be an is there. Huh? See that? Is. Should be is there. Sanders, though, may have to convince Democratic voters. Man, they're so exciting for those. CNN gets so stoked for those misleading headlines about Bernie, they don't even use spell check. We proved it here in real time. They're going to edit that later. They're going to throw that is in there. You saw it here first. Here, let me show it again. Somebody get a screenshot of this. Boom. He electable. Screenshot. Boom. You're seeing it here first in real time. So, this own article basically, I wouldn't say debunks its own headline, but proves that it's a misleading headline. So first of all, the poll only indicated so many different groups. So to say it's plummeting among all voters is just not true. Second of all, to say that it's plummeting, no, it's adjusting the way it would adjust in an election season. Which happens to every candidate in the history of candidates running for an office. But you see how they jumped it. But people be, oh, I guess people are jumping off the Bernie train. I guess I got to get on board somewhere else. No, you don't. You don't. So, whenever it comes to a poll from CNN or basically any poll, you really have to read the details. because the headline, especially in this case, isn't going to give you an accurate assessment of what the poll's really telling you. What the poll's really telling you is that Bernie Sanders is leading the herd, and that's what happens during an election season. So, good job, CNN. As usual, knocking it out of the park. All right, so let's go over to the Green Party. This was from our Reddit, reddit.com/r/GetYourNewsOnWithRon. And the Green Party may be looking at their presidential nominee. Youngstown School Board member Dario Hunter seeks Green Party presidential nomination. So this is over in Columbus, Ohio. Youngstown Board of Education member Dario Hunter, the only elected Green Party member in Ohio, is now seeking a much higher office, the president. Hunter is 35 years old, so just old enough, and is an early entrant in the race for the Green presidential nomination next year. The nomination appears to be wide open, as Jill Stein has indicated she doesn't plan to run again. And I think that's the right thing. I like Jill Stein. I voted for her. But I think it's time for a new face. I think the Green Party needs a new face running for president. You know. So Hunter has an interesting background. Son of an Iranian Muslim father and a black Christian mother, he is considered the first Muslim-born person to be ordained as a rabbi. Interesting. After graduating from Princeton, he earned a law degree in Canada, then worked as an environmental lawyer in Israel before settling on the south side of Youngstown. He currently serves as a rabbi in Boardman and as campus rabbi at the College of Worcester. He won a write-in campaign for Youngstown School Board in 2015. He joined the Green Party last year. In an interview, Hunter said he's running for president because he wants to ensure that the voices of the marginalized and disenfranchised are heard. I have that background that speaks to all of the issues of fundamental fairness and justice that the Green Party espouses. And Hunter is an openly gay, black, Jewish man who is the son of an immigrant. So here's what Hunter would stand for. Hunter said he would seek to create a single-payer Medicare for all healthcare system, have the government ensure full employment, ban oil and gas fracking, love that. He also called for shutting down the vast majority of overseas military bases and slashing the defense budgets by half to provide more money for education and infrastructure projects. Hunter added that the U.S. should stop providing any aid to Israel because of the country's horribly atrocious treatment of Palestinians. Interesting. So this is my first introduction to the guy. I'm just learning about him via this article. So far, I think he's got some great ideas, and we'll see how this progresses. But this could be the Green Party nominee, and I really hope an option like that is on the ballot because I live in California. I live in a safe state. So if the Democratic nominee is somebody I cannot justify voting for, then I will vote Green again. Because, why not use my vote to make a statement and to try to get the party that reflects, what I would like to see in this country better? Why wouldn't I want to try to help them get 5% so that they can get federal funding so that they can be a more competitive party? I'd rather do that than, as Eugene Debs would put it, I'd rather vote for something I want and not get it than vote for something I don't want and get it. So, if another centrist is shoved down our throats, which they're going to try, if another centrist is shoved down our throats, I hope that there's a green option or a progressive option to cast a vote for. Because, we keep just doing lesser of two evils. The Overton window keeps shifting and shifting and shifting and shifting to the right. So, I don't want to participate in that. If the nominee is somebody I can get behind, then I will. If they're not, then I hope there's another option. And there will be. All right, so that's an introduction to Dario Hunter. Interesting. Let's get off of the 2020 election. Here's something interesting. A couple of you guys shared this. Jury finds Monsanto's Roundup caused a man's cancer. Now, there was another similar lawsuit like this. The unanimous decision was the second jury verdict finding Roundup, which is a Monsanto product caused non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. This case involved 70-year-old Edwin Hardman, who sprayed the product containing glyphosate on his 56-acre property. Dwayne Johnson had earlier been awarded $289 million in his case. We covered that story on this show. Hardman's case will now go to the damages phase. A jury in federal court in San Francisco has concluded that Roundup weed killer was a substantial factor in a California man's cancer. The unanimous verdict on Tuesday came in a trial that plaintiffs' attorneys said could help determine the fate of hundreds of similar lawsuits against Roundup's manufacturer, agribusiness giant Monsanto. It was the second jury verdict to find that Roundup caused non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Another jury reached that conclusion last year and awarded the plaintiff, Dwayne Johnson, $289 million. Jurors in California Superior Court agreed the product contributed to Johnson's cancer, and the company should have provided a label warning. Tuesday's verdict came in the case of 70-year-old Edwin Hardman. The judge overseeing Hardman's lawsuit had split the trial into two phases. Hardman's attorneys first had to convince the jurors that his use of Roundup was a significant factor in his non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. The trial will now proceed to the damages phases. Hardman claimed that his decades-long use of the weed killer on his 56-acre Sonoma County property is linked to his diagnosis of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2015. Monsanto said studies have established that the active ingredient in Roundup, glyphosate, is safe. Sure it is, Monsanto. Let me see, because I don't have to be objective here, and I'm not going to be. I hope this guy gets a huge settlement. I hope he gets his health back, and I hope Monsanto goes bankrupt and goes away. And I hope that some of the people behind their corruption go to prison. That's not going to happen. That's for sure not going to happen. But here's another small victory. I hope this guy gets a huge settlement. And I wish him luck with that. And yeah, I have nothing positive to say about Monsanto. I don't see how anyone could. They are environmental predators. They are corporate predators. They and this is what we can't count on. You know, I mean, when I was in graduate school, they introduced us to the idea of corporate civility. And every single class that I took where that topic was brought up, it took all of my patience not to be like, hey, that's bullshit and doesn't exist. I couldn't say that out loud in class. I had to subtly write that in an academic way in a paper, which I did every single time. And I was allowed to. But yeah, that's not a real thing. Corporate civility, not a real thing. Corporate accountability, not a real thing. It's not real because corporations are amoral institutions. Their only concern, their saint, is the bottom line. It doesn't matter who they throw under the bus in the meantime. That's just how they're built. That's why you get companies like Monsanto in existence. So this idea that there's any type of corporate civility or accountability, it's a lie. It's not true. And if you spend any time in a corporation, that becomes abundantly clear. They do nothing unless it affects their bottom line positively. Nothing. That's just how it works. So institutions like Monsanto shouldn't exist. What we should have are more local farms and more sustainable farms and more renewables and no GMOs. We don't have a production problem with food. We have a distribution problem with food. That's what we have. Production, not an issue. Distribution, that's the issue. So, I hope this guy gets a huge settlement. I hope he gets his health back. And I hope Monsanto goes bankrupt. Here's some good news, too. We're ending with good news, guys. We are ending with some neat news. Here's an article diving into municipal broadband. This is proof that we're winning. This is proof that the municipal broadband movement is gaining steam. For any of you that are newer to this show, that's a movement that I'm really trying to do my best to be part of. I was on the Community Broadband Community Bits podcast over on the Institute for Local Self-Reliance. Check out that episode. And I talked about how I'm trying to get municipal broadband into my community in Pasadena. What is municipal broadband? If you're really new to this show, it takes the internet out of the for-profit corporate predator hands and puts it into the hands of cities and municipalities. Other cities that have done this have the best internet at a reasonable price. And guess what? They don't have to worry about losing net neutrality. Because with the loss of net neutrality, we have to worry about the type of internet we have access to now. And if you take the internet out of big cable's hands, out of AT&T's hands, out of Verizon's hands, out of Comcast's hands, and put it into the hands of cities and municipalities, you're going to get net neutrality in the charter, and you're going to get good internet at a reasonable price. Other cities that have done this, it's worked. Chattanooga, Tennessee, Sandy, Oregon, Fort Collins, Colorado. And this article is saying how this movement is gaining steam. Let's look into it. Municipal broadband internet, the next public utility. I hope so. Initiatives across the country seem to be gaining steam as cities look to encourage equitable access, but pitfalls around costs and taxpayer risk remain. As the need for equitable internet access, so this is according to the article. We're going to dive into this article, and then we're going to respond to that. As the need for equitable internet access becomes increasingly important to leaders, some cities are taking matters into their own hands and setting up municipally owned and operated networks. When internet is treated as a public utility like gas, water, or electricity, some city leaders say it can help residents find jobs, do homework at home more easily, and connect easier to new technology like telehealth. You know what else it does? It's also an incentive for businesses to move into the community. But let's continue with the article first. And while telecom companies and internet service providers, those are your AT&Ts, your Comcast, have pushed back, arguing that they are in the best place to provide service and are doing what they can to roll it out citywide. No, they're in the best place to maximize their profits, and that's what they're going to do. Services be damned. The likes of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and Fort Collins, Colorado have taken the lead, while others such as Seattle are trying to follow in their footsteps. It doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, what you do as your business. Everybody gets it. Brain fart. Chattanooga Mayor Andy Burke said, referring to the city's internet program, and during an event this month in Washington, D.C., hosted by the media company Axios. Public benefits. So proponents of municipal internet, of which I am one, argue that the most compelling reason to treat it as a public utility is to ensure equitable access for all, regardless of neighborhood, to help address the digital divide. And already work is underway. The Institute of Local Self-Reliance, I was just on their podcast, said nearly 750 communities have carried out projects to some degree, and it has inspired others to try to follow their lead. Municipal internet can take many forms, from a full service where the city acts as the ISP, to the laying of dark fiber to encourage private leases, to public-private partnerships. Advocates, all right, so Seattle has their own project going on. Now, price has been a key driver for communities. Admin ID has a government-led initiative to provide 1 gigabit to everyone for less than $60 a month. Feasibility studies and strong public support have helped make municipal internet a mainstream issue in Seattle. Chattanooga took the approach of partnering with its public electricity utility. Now, here's where the policy part comes in. This, according to the article, opponents of municipal broadband have not gone down without a fight, with battles in state houses and at the FCC over the issue. Now, President Obama gave a speech in Cedar Falls, Iowa, said that a community has the right to make its own choice and to provide its own broadband if it wants to. And if there are state laws in place that prohibit, that restrict the use of these community efforts, we should do everything we can to push back on those old laws. Obama said that. The following month, the FCC, under former Chair Tom Wheeler, ruled in a 3-2 decision to preempt state laws in Tennessee and North Carolina that prevented community broadband providers from expanding service. And a lot of these rulings have been held up. We've covered some of that. But despite what could be onerous restrictions, because there's been restrictions on states and on municipalities, Some cities have still been able to break through. Colorado requires that jurisdictions put municipal broadband plans to voters on a ballot initiative. And in Fort Collins, it passed. So, here's what it is. When you look at it just out the gate, it's going to cost a community more. It's going to cost a city more to develop their own municipal project than to just let Comcast come in and take care of it. On the surface, it's going to cost more. But when you look into it, it saves money. Why? Because first of all, it's a city investment that the city owns. And making service better will be easier as the years go by. B, residents over time are going to pay less than what they would pay for Comcast. And that's why the town of Charlemont, Massachusetts, they had the decision to have Comcast take care of it or do it themselves. And they said, bye-bye, Comcast. We're doing it ourselves. We want to assure the best internet possible, and we want to have it be an investment into the community. I almost knocked over my coffee. So we're doing it ourselves. When you think about municipal broadband as an investment, all of a sudden, the numbers are clearer that it's better to put it in the hands of the city, to have it be a utility, than it is to put it in the hands of a price gouging, for-profit, corrupt corporation. Because Comcast will price gouge you. They will not give you the best service they can. They will not build to the utmost degree they can if they have no competitors. And that's what these ISPs have established. They've established pretty much an organized duopoly across the country. That's why our internet service is not great compared to a lot of other countries. That's why typically customer service requires a lot to be desired, and that's putting it very lightly. It's because they have it set up that way. So if you put it in the city's hands, you're going to get better internet at a more reasonable price, and it's going to be an investment in your city. So that's municipal broadband. And articles like this prove that it's gaining steam and it's gaining momentum across the country. And that needs to continue. I'm fighting here in Pasadena. I just sent a letter to my city urging them to join Next Century Cities. What is Next Century Cities? It's an organization that helps cities seek internet solutions, helps them plan their municipal project. And it costs cities nothing to join. Go to nextcenturycities.org. All you need is a city official to agree to the charter and then join. It costs nothing. And in my community in Pasadena, other neighboring communities are already members. Los Angeles is a member. Burbank's a member. Santa Monica's a member. Beverly Hills is a member. So I'm trying to get Pasadena to become a member. And we're going to... I've not received word back yet from the city, but our next step is we're going to go to the planner's office directly. So that's where I'm at. All right. Let me see what you guys are saying to end the show today. Monkismo, thank you for the Super Chat contribution. And your question is, years ago, I thought most LGBTQs and minorities would fight economic injustice, but many just seem to want to be part of the establishment. Thoughts? I don't agree with that statement. I don't agree with that statement. I think that's a pretty big overgeneralization, and I don't agree with that statement. So yeah, I'm not sure what else to say with that. I mean, I disagree with that statement. But thank you for the Super Chat contribution. Very much appreciated. Goldilocks, yay, glad you're fighting the fight. You and Mike Figueredo are the only ones who consistently cover this topic. Thank you for that. Jilly, there's a town in Oregon that has community broadband. I forget the name. You're probably thinking of Sandy, Oregon. And I think that Portland is trying to do something similar. Portland's really trying. Paul Ryan, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Paul Ryan tomorrow for sure. What did you almost spill your coffee on? The floor. I almost spilled it on the floor. You guys are talking about UBI. UBI is useless without a jobs program. That's true. It's also, I think, in addition, you need a lot of rent control across the country. You need significant rent. I'm not against the concept of a UBI, but if it's not unrolled properly, it'll just be deemed worthless really quick. So, and one of the things you need is very extensive rent control. Muscal says the Chicago Symphony Orchestra has been on strike for 2 weeks. Tweet me an article about that for tomorrow. That sounds really interesting. Chris Wynn, Ron, look up how to set up your own community network with a local IPX. It's probably easier than going through the city of Pasadena. Email me some resources. Again, keep in mind, Chris, I am not a tech guy. I'm not the tech guy, but I correspond with people who are. So please send me that. I know that some communities, they do that. They just form their own internet co-op. Oberlin, Ohio did that. So they have a local community internet, but it's actually a city orchestrated co-op that they run themselves. So they didn't really need permission from the city to do it, per se. And I want to have somebody from that organization on this show, and I believe somewhere in Minnesota does something similar. You can go to the Institute of Local Self-Reliance or muninetworks.org. They have all these resources in a very, very extensive form, more extensive than I have. But my playlist has been more geared towards my my personal fight. Let's see. Ron, do you like Andrew Yang's UBI plan? I would need to look more into it before I say something definitive on that. What I've seen from Andrew Yang, some of it I've liked, some of it I haven't liked. But as for that particular thing, I would need to look a little more into it before I made a definitive response to that. That's awesome. I love the idea of co-op companies, and what's better than one for media internet? I'm with you, Davin. Illinois is trying to get statewide rent control going. That's awesome. Damn it, I forgot to hit like at the beginning of the program. Sorry, Ron. Well, you can still do it. Everybody follow Goldilocks's lead and hit that like button. Snork, I saw Amy Klobuchar on Saturday. I was not impressed and would stay home or vote third party. I hope you get... Yeah, I hope she's not... I don't think she's going to be. I don't think she's going to be. Let's see. Garden Gnome says, people don't seem to understand we needed to start replacing all of our infrastructure like yesterday, or else we don't survive. We need a jobs program for reasons to go beyond employment issues. I agree. Yeah, no one ever talks about infrastructure. No one, I mean, even, especially officials, like, you never hear anybody, or seldom, I shouldn't say never, but seldom do you see anybody talking about how, yeah, we need a legit infrastructure program that A, would bring jobs, and B, is super necessary. Super, super necessary. Freya points out they do talk about infrastructure, but usually it's a scam, like what Trump does, which is very true. Yeah, they wanna try to privatize everything. That's exactly what they do. Let's see. Guys, we are pretty much out of time. Let me see if I hit everything. Well, I didn't hit everything, but, you know, I try to hit as many questions as I can. All right, guys. We are out of time. Oh, and somebody asked, am I going to go to Bernie? Am I going to go see Bernie this weekend? I don't know if I'm going to be able to. It depends on what's going on over at the Jimmy Dore show. But yeah, I mean, I might be. We might go cover it, or we might be doing the live stream. I'm not sure what's on the docket yet. But I would like to. I've seen Bernie twice. And, you know, I would like to come in. I'd like to come in and see what he has to say. Live stream it. I'd like that. I mean, I would. I'd be live streaming it from my phone, so I don't know how great it would be, but. But yeah, we'll see what happens there. As of this point, I don't know, but I would like to be. Guys, we are totally out of time. You know the drill. If you're able to support this show on the sustainability end, patreon.com/RonPlacone. Help me expand this show. Help me do more streams. And you get all kinds of exclusive content. A bunch of stand-up. I've been posting a bunch of stand-up. I've been posting stand-up on the YouTube channel too, but you get full unedited sets over on the Patreon. And you get all kinds of, you get a dialogue that Lucy writes a comic. You get Lucy's comic. That's patreon.com/RonPlacone. Give what you can level. You get all kinds of cool stuff. Yeah. Tour dates. Texas, get your tickets. Graham Elwood and I are going to be in Texas next month, April 12th through 15th. We're going to be in Fort Worth. We're going to be in Houston. We're going to be in San Antonio. We're going to be in Austin. Tickets at ronplacone.com. Also, May, Salt Lake City, Boise. June, East Coast. Grab those East Coast tickets. We're coming to Philly. We're coming to D.C. We're coming to Baltimore. We're coming to New York City. We're coming to Boston. ronplacone.com for all those tickets. Those shows are with Graham Elwood for the Progressive Comedy Tour. I will be coming to Indianapolis on May 1st. Indianapolis, May 1st. Tickets available at ronplacone.com. And Los Angeles, tonight's Politics Night at the Dojo. If you're in Los Angeles, want to go to that show, tweet me. I'll put you on the guest list. That's at the Sycamore Tavern near Hollywood and Sunset. Free parking. And I'll be doing a show in Pasadena this Sunday. This Sunday at Meow Meows, my local thrift punk shop in Pasadena, who makes my buttons, by the way. I'm going to be doing a free show there. It's a donation-based show, and all the donations go to the shop, not to me. So, yeah, I'm going to be working out a new hour, and it's going to be a fun show. That's an early show. It's at 6:30 on Sunday. So if you're not doing anything Sunday, come hang out. We're going to have a municipal broadband discussion, a kind of informal, unofficial broadband and brews, if you will, at a bar next door afterwards. So, yeah. Guys, thank you for being part of this. We will be back tomorrow, same time, same channel, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time. This has been Get Your News On with Ron. Did you hear that siren? It's my ride. It's not. Thanks for being here. Peace.